Yo, what's going on, everybody? AA Ryan here.
Raider Pete, what's happening?
What? And welcome back to PanNerdia, and welcome back to our review of HBO's Watchmen. Reviewing episode 8 tonight. A god walks into a bar.
Bar?
Yes.
A bar?
Like Admiral Akbar? No, I'm just kidding. Angela Abar, but actually it's just a bar, like, you know, because he really does walk into a bar, but to meet Angela Abar.
At a place called Eddie's, which is
Eddie's, yeah.
The first name of the comedian, I think.
And over in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So yeah, it starts off with D meeting A. But yeah, anyway, it starts with D meeting A, walking down the street, putting on a mask to hide his face. And as we learn throughout the episode, we know why, whether it's actually behind the scenes reasons or just, you know, the writers being extremely clever. They choose not to show Dr. Manhattan's face. And kind of an insight on that I got from watching some things online is that they wanted basically to keep the reader's ideal image of what Dr. Manhattan looks like the same in their head, but then to explain why he ends up looking different later in the episode. But again, we'll get to that.
Sure.
So he's in there and he meets Angela and kind of really abruptly starts asking her if she would like to join him on a date to dinner. And it's just, he's so not smooth at all, totally in the Dr. Manhattan way, the John Osterman way. Just really being blunt, and then already, you know, telling her that he loves her and has always loved her.
And he keeps reminding her that he's experiencing no before or after. He experiences everything at the same time.
I mean, he even straight up tells her that he is Dr. Manhattan, and she's like,
yeah.
all right, well, why is he wearing a mask, or this, that, you know. And this is the thing, it's on, she's actually in the bar celebrating or mourning, really. Everybody else is celebrating the
exact date of her anniversary of her parents getting murdered by the terrorist bomb.
Which is also the same day that Dr. Manhattan won the Vietnam War or whatever, right? That's like
sure.
the V-Day or whatever.
Correct.
So it's all on the same day. And so there's people dressed up like Dr. Manhattan, you know.
Painted all the way up. All different kinds of versions, yeah.
So he could just be another dude doing that, right?
Yep.
She doesn't know. But he's in his own weird way trying to be smooth. Even gets to the point where he's talking to her about creating life and how he can just do it with a wave of his hand.
That has to be the point that she finally is like, okay, this guy's either a magician or he's legit, right? Because what does he do? He busts out an egg.
A little egg, yeah. He essentially, well, that's, I think, might even be a little later, because that's what he's talking about. I think maybe around the same time was first he weighs his hand, and then
it's not any time at all.
Yeah, right.
It's all time.
Right. No shit.
That's what we learn in this. It's just that this conversation at that bar kind of opens up the floodgates to 3 or 4 different periods in time. So we learn a lot in this episode.
Oh yeah, for sure. It his whole experience of existence is totally bizarre, and to the point where he's kind of just aloof to how it affects everybody else. I mean, everybody else around him that he kind of drags into his almost black hole-ishness of just omnipotence. He drags him in because he's so alluring and so mystical in that way. But then, even when him and Angela are banging later, she's like, "Where are you?" He's like, "I'm in the year 1936."
Right.
And it's just like he's just here and there and everywhere at the same point.
I mean, well, Dr. Manhattan's World War II childhood, his post-Vietnam victory, whereabouts, we finally learn all this in this episode, right?
Well, we learned about stuff like that partly when in the book.
We learn the entire relationship development between Angela, and then it's revealed along the timelines and events of like where he was, and we'll get to that shortly. But they end up getting together for 6 months in, which he, of course, told her was going to happen. They were going to have an argument, a fight.
Yeah.
And he was going to leave for a short time. Well, we'll get to that when you're ready to get to that. But, like, man, was that revealing. Like, we finally find out what Mr. Manhattan was up to, other than being in Mars, because he was not.
Right, right.
So, and then from that point to when he meets her, and then their relationship. Which,
So for about 20 years, he
Yeah.
wasn't on Mars. It was just a doppelganger, a fake version of him, a decoy on Mars, doing rudimentary tasks. He was actually over on Europa, creating life, just like you said in the comics. He was there, and they showed an awesome sequence of him doing it with, like, creating the water or bringing the water up forth from the planet, creating, vegetation and foliage, and then eventually making this like life pool that had the fetuses in.
My favorite quote from that moment was, "A primordial ocean transmits into a liquid creation engine, the amniotic lake."
There you go. Yeah, I mean it's basically like a big.
He's like, anything with fins, wings, or hooves, or even human beings have spawned from this water.
And so anywho,
you can't tell me you weren't entranced in that scene. Like,
well, of course, yeah, but
and then
more
there's
so
more,
in the CGI.
and then there's more. Right.
Yeah, not really with what he was saying. I mean, he's so Dr. Manhattan. It's just like, okay, yeah, he was just. It's like I just with a wave of my hand I created it, and it was just awesome CGI. It was cool though. But he essentially explains how he made Phillips and Crookshanks, and then actually got an origin on who they actually were based on the castle, because
in 1936, right. John arriving as a boy from Nazi Heidelberg, Germany, to Britain to a very nice manor en route to the U.S., where his father, the watchmaker, which I learned when I rewatched it that, his mother left him and his father to be with some Nazi soldier guy. Mm-hmm. And, well, the father is Jewish German. Yeah. So he got his son out of Dodge. So now we've learned that John Osterman is German Jewish.
Yep.
Then when he was at that manor, the two people that were in charge were the husband and wife of the manor. And that is basically his Adam and Eve.
Right, because he essentially caught him creating life, as they put it, because he caught him banging. They caught him snooping on him.
He dropped an apple when he saw it. That's a little
which is a little
Adam and Eve-ish, losing the innocence there.
And it was really, really cool scene in that aspect. Even to the point where Dr. Manhattan's there the whole time, right? He's like just reliving it, and that's how we experience it.
That's interesting how he re-experiences 1936. That was well before he became a scientist or Dr. Manhattan. I figured he would just be able to go back and forth from the time he exploded till present day, but okay.
Yeah.
He still is John Osterman. I mean, he's still...
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. No, he actually... I mean, the whole thing with him as a kid, that was him just kind of reliving it to a degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, then we kind of get, in this flip-flop of him and Angela's relationship. They're 10 years before tragedy kind of thing. They kind of need to make sure that they can actually be seen together, because at this point, I guess, it's been like they've had dinner. Maybe not. But she's like, you can't be seen like this. And also, this is after he's revealed his face to her, which not to us, though.
She's like, after the holiday's over, you're going to be the only blue guy walking around.
Yeah,
so.
Right.
How does that work?
Unless this guy just keeps coming back to the bar and never showers. The big dude, yeah.
That dude is letting it all hang out.
Yeah, he just had the tightest little blue Speedo.
There's more hangout later in episode 2. We'll get to that.
Oh, yeah, right. So they're pretty much, they go to the morgue, where obviously Angela has access to, being a police officer. And she's like, okay, you got to pick a body, because I guess at this point he's explained to her, I can just transmute or become one of these people.
Yeah, it was quite the array. He had an Asian guy, a red-haired guy, a blonde guy, a brunette guy.
But she was stowing away the black guy, a.k.a. Cal.
Yeah.
And Dr. Manhattan's like, well, and at this point, too, I think he probably knows. He's like, have you showed me all the options? And she's like, yeah, you can do this. And he's
Those were all the non-next of kin options that were available, at least in front of them.
Yeah.
But I guess she could have just picked a famous actor, and he would have turned into that person too.
Well, that's the thing. It had to be kind of
physically be in the room.
It had to be not even that. It had to just be a nobody. It had to be
oh yeah, someone had a social security number, but nothing else.
Yeah, right. Nobody's gonna really know this guy died.
Right.
Yeah, he's dead, but did anybody really know? There's no family to know. How about this cow guy?
Yep.
So that's what he becomes, and at this point, he still very much knows who he is. Because remember, last episode ended. Obviously, Cal had no idea that he was John, and she had to, dig out a little piece of, what is it, like tachyon is what we end up learning. What is this?
Basically, it was a memory eraser.
Yeah.
So for 10 years as Cal, he only experienced being Dr. Manhattan in slight little tidbits of conversation that were trivial, and if he was under distress and there was like an emergency.
Hence the White Knight and how Angela was saved.
Yes.
So he's still bad at sex. John is, that is. And before he ended up getting the ring in his head, when he's still kind of John, just in Cal's body, he ends up just kind of being like, I need to figure something out because Angela's not having it. And he just kind of is like, I'm going to go visit Ozzy. So he just, poofs into
Well, no, that was their 6-month argument. And she's like, you want me to say leave? She already know what I'm going to say. He's like, yes, I need to hear it.
Oh, yeah, the
leave.
same one.
Thank you. Poof. And that's when he goes to Adrian Veidt.
Yeah, all the way out in freaking
Antarctica.
Yeah.
But inside which is really cool if you really like the comic, his it's called I
forget the name of it.
Karnak is the building.
Yeah, the Karnak.
It looks like Egyptian, and there's all kinds of relics from ancient Greece and Egypt and all that. But there's this biodome that used to be right next to it, which in the comic book Ozymandias destroys. So it's all there, kind of destroyed off to the side.
Yeah, it's really good payoff there.
Real cool stuff.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I have to mention that.
It was awesome. I mean, just the cool thing, just seeing it in film form and then all the relics, like you said, and we learned how he's been, keeping everybody at bay with his squid teleporter, sending him all over the world, and it's kind of funny. But
it was funny because, as he's having conversation with Dr. Manhattan in Cal form, in the background you see a screen, and it's Madagascar. He's like, bloop, and it's getting soaked.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're just chatting.
Yeah, it's like, where is he pulling them, though? You know what I'm saying? He must have,
That's
a
true.
big tank of them somewhere or some shit, or, a little dimensional pocket of just says, infinite amounts of them.
Who knows what kind of hole he has drilled in the ice underneath him, too.
Oh, yeah, that, too, yeah, right. He has them somewhere, but he's just squirting them all over the world at deliberate times. But,
got your fresh seafood, right off the ice.
Yeah, right. Very fresh. I wonder if anybody actually eats those. They never actually explored that.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe Looking Glass was just eating him. Nobody, he never said anything to anybody.
I don't know.
No, he felt bad for him.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. They had no idea. They got sent
enough.
over and died immediately.
Yeah, it's like, weirdly enough, since he has such a fear of him. So anyway, so John's obviously there for a reason. He's looking for advice. He's at this point he's kind of lost, and maybe he thinks becoming, becoming a human or mortal again would be the solution.
Kind of makes a trade with Veidt in this point, right?
Yeah, but he wants to do it his way, right? It's not like Veidt, in the past wanting to actually destroy Manhattan, or
he did try to explode him.
Yeah, did try to explode him, right? So they're sitting there, and they come to an agreement because Veidt gives him, that little I forget what the name of it. It's tacky,
that tacky ring thing. It's
and Dr. Manhattan.
Technic.
He can't see it. So even in that box, he couldn't see it. He's like, it's just blank there.
He's like, that's right. It's a blind spot.
Even to the point where when he's talking to Angela, he's like, there's this point where, I'm here, and then there's just a period of
that must
a
be
blank space.
The 10-year.
It's that 10 year. He's like, I can't. He's like, I can see everything else.
Just Cal.
It's dark in that area. So he gets this from him, and then of course Ozzy kind of sits there, and and this is great acting from Jeremy Irons here.
And that was Ozzy's plan A, by the way.
Oh yeah, it was, yeah. And he's just like, I had it, I kept it, but here now, out of your choice, you can take it if you'd like. Which is, I think, cool because it kind of shows you where their relationship's at. Mm-hmm. Even to the point where, he's like,
They both just know so much about each other, probably more than anyone else knows about either of them. Yeah. That's how it flows.
And we learned, too, that Ozzy is just like, he's depressed as fuck right now. He's up in his lair. He's watching all these TVs trying to see his so-called children just continue to destroy the world, and his plan didn't really work, and he's just like, oh,
and
what
he's
am I
not
going to do
getting
now?
any credit for saving the world.
No credit. Nobody
Well, he's
knows.
watching nuclear meltdowns and things that are happening across the world, but he's not getting any credit. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, that is the main thing. He wants that glory. He totally wants that glory. Well, he can't get it. He needs somebody, right? Almost like he wants people to worship him. Well, Dr. Manhattan mentions, well, I created life, and it's beautiful, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, does that sound nice to you, Adrian? And he's like, yes. He's like crying.
Yeah.
Like,
I
think he might have been holding him.
Yeah. It got to the point where the timing was so perfect that he was like, yes, just take me there.
And he's like, okay, bloop.
Yeah.
And just like, instant transmission.
Godspeed, he says, which I thought was
Godspeed.
kind of a funny thing for him to say.
That was really funny, yeah.
But I guess in 1985 was the other period we keep going back to, and that's when he did create that utopia on Europa.
Yep, yeah, Europa.
So it was
Utopia.
1936 when he was a kid, 1985 when he was creating that stuff, and then of course the meetings he had in mid 2009 with not just Veidt, which we just talked about, but where was his next stop?
Oh, so he goes to see Will
Reeves, New York City mansion.
Hooded Justice. Hey, at the mansion of
his
Captain
lover.
Metropolis. Yeah, ended up giving it to him after he passed away.
Oh,
and
that's good. All that pounding love together, he got something out of it.
So he goes to yeah, right. He got something at least. Yeah, he's like left a fat house in
and money, probably.
And money, yeah. We still don't know how the Hooded Justice is like still alive after all, like being 105.
Well, maybe
how healthy he is.
A lot of things advanced a lot quicker
You're
in
right.
this
There could be things.
dimension.
Yeah, so there could be things helping. But cigarettes aren't legal, so he wasn't smoking. That's cool.
That's true.
He did take a big old swig of whiskey though. I'm just playing.
And he did drink scalding hot coffee when he first talked to Angela in the back of her donut shop place. No, but like.
Oh, whoops! I need to change.
I don't understand how old people do that, man.
Change the slides here. Actually, hold on. Let me get this back up again. Oh, okay, perfect. So, so speaking of not only when he goes to talk to Will, but also at the same time we're back in our present timeline, and Angela just got done pulling that device, tachyum or whatever it is, out of his head, and he wakes
Here
up
comes the blue glow,
and becomes Dr. Manhattan, but. Since I guess some
in
weird fusion,
still.
Because he, when he first became Cow, he just kind of looked at the body and then transformed his body into Cow. So
but
at
he
this
is
point,
confused and stuff. I mean,
he's very confused.
He's trying to figure out what time period he's in. That's the main thing. When he first comes to, he's like, "What year is it?" And she tells him right away, "This is your name. This is what the year it is. This and that."
But it's not even that he's really wondering what he is. He just doesn't know where he is in general. I guess he's experiencing them like full Ray can't turn it off kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I pictured. Like he's just, he can kind of do it simultaneously anyway. But I'm guarantee, like normally, he can just kind of pick off what kind of timelines he wants to focus on, right? To say more present in that one, perhaps. Well, this time I guess it's just he's all over the place because he's even like, I just need to go forward. I need to go forward somewhere in this giant mess of times. Angela, get the F out my way. And he walks out onto the pool because I think at this moment he's starting to kind of figure out what's going on. And he looks up and sees the children and zaps them away because
they weren't safe there.
They weren't safe.
He knew this was like the big traumatic.
Yeah, the tragedy that he said. The
tragic
tragedy.
ending. Yeah.
And Angela comes out and says, "Get the fuck off the pool." And it's just a funny way of saying, I laughed so hard watching that scene again because it's not like get out of the pool. It says get off the pool.
Because he's walking on water. He's like, you needed to see this before what happens next. And she's like, just get off the fucking pool. Okay, I saw it already. I saw it.
And this is when we kind of get that weird tie-in with the conversation with Will, this weird time loop thing that gets even more crazy once the conversation gets started between the two.
God, yeah. I mean, and that made me think, like, if he can be at different times at the same time, like, he can definitely be kind of like the medium in between, and that's what he was.
Well, that's what he was, yeah.
In both places, he was talking to Will Reeves in 2009 in New York City. At the same time, he was talking to Angela on the tragic night of 2019.
Yep.
And she told her grandfather in that manner
Well, she asked, actually.
She asked, like, how did you know that Chief Judd of Tulsa was one of the heads of Cyclops?
And how did you know that he had a Klan uniform hidden in his closet?
He goes, now I do, basically.
Yeah, he's basically like, who's Chief Judd? And then he looks back at Angela, or Dr. Manhattan, that is, and is like, he doesn't even know. And she's like,
then she panicked.
Yeah, she panicked, and she's like, wait, does that mean I'm the one who did that? But then Dr. Manhattan even says, I'm confused. Because he's like, he says that because he's like, well, it always happened like this. So technically, did she really change it? Or is it always happened like that regardless?
It's the whole chicken and the egg paradox thing. And that's what he brings up, the whole paradox thing, like 3 times in this episode. And I totally agree with him. If I had to choose, it's both. The chicken and the egg simultaneously appear.
Yeah, he said both. Yeah. Yep. Because it sets off two. It breaks the timeline in two, like the proper way, so things can continue to branch out. If one was the other, it wouldn't properly grow. I would say so. Yeah, it makes sense, but it's wacky, and it blew us away because it's like, oh man, they're already messing with us in so many different ways.
And now it's like so
much deeper because the time loop shit, and it's like, oh man, like he even said to Will, he's like, you and I have become entangled in the most intriguing ways or whatever, and it's like, yeah, motherfucker, you sure have. Oh yeah, it's really funny, by the way, when he goes up to Will's house, he's like, I'm Dr. Manhattan, and he's like, looks at him like, what is, or he says John Osterman, he's like, what is that supposed to mean? He closes the door on him, and he just walks through the door like, wow, and then just continues to walk.
I love how he kind of like walks. He just looked over one shoulder. Anyone looking? Nope. And I'm walking through the wall.
Yeah, he's in. Like it's nothing. And it's just funny because the actor who plays Yahya, who plays Dr. Manhattan, aka Cal, he's a great actor, man. He really did a really good job.
Yahya Abdul Mateen II.
He did a great job with the whole just blank slate.
Yeah, robotic Dr. Manhattan, which he kind of is because he's so robotic because the emotion and feelings and stuff aren't there.
Yeah.
But he aches for this love that he doesn't really understand, except for when he saw the 2 people when he was a child through the closet starting to make love. Like that was his first and only experience until he had his hot girlfriends during the time of the Minutemen and all that. But
Tachyic, that's the stuff.
Tachyic, yes,
okay.
Tachyic. And by the way, that Tachyic is the same thing that machine is made of for like the teleporting stuff.
Oh,
it's made of that stuff. Yeah. And even, the tragic ending, the thing that comes into play is made of it as well.
So the thing that was in his head, the thing that we're about to talk about, is essentially like the kryptonite of Dr. Manhattan. It's the thing he can't see, he can't perceive, he can't recognize or detect, and it can trap him, encapsulate him, make him dormant like it did when it was inside of his head.
Unless someone finds a hammer
and digs it out with the blunt end. They didn't even use a sharp and jagged edge to really get in there. She was just smashing it till it was like fucking mashed potatoes and just. So anyway, I know that's just some Walking Dead.
It sure
talk
was.
There.
Yeah, that was pretty weak for us because we're used to seeing that kind of thing.
Yeah, usually it's like.
But I loved her.
Pumpkins are like smashing.
When she started putting on her gear and she opened her like weapons, safe with the fingerprint pad and everything, that was pretty killer.
Her extra secret in house.
Yeah, she's like, fine, stores. You just stay here, I'll save your ass. And she goes out there. And...
What a great love story, by the way, too. It was as unsmooth as Dr. Manhattan is, the way it goes about and the way the time.
He actually shows a little bit of an emotional smile as the Cal Dr. Manhattan when he finally tells her this is the moment. What? As she's gathering her guns, like, I'm falling in love. This is me falling in love. This is the moment that you were talking about when we first met in the bar. Like, where's that moment then? Like, if you already know, like, that's the moment.
It's perfect too because it pretty much shows you who Angela is as a character fully, which we already knew. She's super stubborn.
She's ready to do it all for him.
But if she loves somebody, she's gonna put it all on the line and then pretty much be like, "Look, motherfucker, whatever you think you know, you don't, because I'm gonna make sure it doesn't happen." And she, honestly, if it wasn't so Manhattan with the way it just is already gonna happen, you see what I did there?
Oh.
she probably would have won like she wanted to, because what an awesome action scene with her busting out there, sniping, taking the silencer and picking off the cavalry members, and then jumping in the back of the truck with a machine gun and taking out a couple others, busting out the window, driving towards the tacky cannon.
She had to have taken out over half of them before she was trapped inside one of the trucks. Right. And then, Cal / Dr. Manhattan steps in. He's stopping bullets. He's like blowing heads up.
And then before they knew it, everybody was dead. And it was awesome scene,
and she's like, see, we did it. And he goes, no, Angela, we did. No, you're wrong. No, actually, I was correct.
And I'm you guys just missed that picture, but yeah.
Why are you standing? That's the look on her face afterwards.
Yeah, after he gets
standing
zapped.
by that thing, man?
That's what I'm saying. Why? Well, this is one thing I wondered after I watched it. Why didn't he just blow up that machine?
First off, yeah, along with all the heads.
Maybe he knows if he did that, it would have made a big EMS of that shit explosion and hurt him. Who knows? I thought about all sorts of stuff. Maybe I thought about it too much. But with this show
if that's the case, then it means his 10 years as just Cal gave him a little more humanity, because normally he wouldn't even think about that.
Well, here's the thing too. I think he succumbs so much to his. This is the tragedy of Dr. Manhattan. To his knowingness of everything, that it's just going to happen, and that's the way it's always going to happen, that you're powerless to stop it, that even if he wanted to, it would still happen. So he doesn't even try. So that's like the tragedy of him. He's powerless to... He's so overpowered, but he's powerless to his own... You know what I'm saying? To himself. It's a weird, tragic, bittersweet loop of a man.
The only thing though is that he got sucked away to be imprisoned. He didn't get disintegrated. He was just captured.
Right. He wasn't killed there, as far as we know. I don't think he was though. I'm right up with you. I think he was just. They even
Cavalry's got him in that cage next to that.
I think they even mentioned that though, that they were going to just teleport him. Right.
They're going to put him in that cage that's right next to the teleport screen deal.
Yeah, and that's probably where next episode where we see the senator and
and while they're doing that, True and Will Reeves and the fucking elephant, that's the freaking downloading machine of memories of nostalgia, are about to bust something even bigger out, perhaps.
Yes. But yeah, it's crazy, man. And then we end up getting a little after credits scene of Ozymandias still over on Europa. And I guess post-trial, he's tied to a tree. He's getting humiliated with a bunch of tomatoes getting smashed. Well, I guess they're weird tomatoes that grow from trees, getting smashed on his face by all the Mr. Phillips and Miss Crookshank saying, "Will you stay with us, master?" or something like that.
Just
no. And there's some really good ones too, man. Some really good ones of some great tomato mashes.
But I guess after they all take one tomato to his face, he just goes right back to his little dungeon.
Reading that same book, The Fog Dancer, that the Egg Lady was reading in episode 4 or 5.
And it was on the rack before Sister Night book, where
it was there too.
Tape was.
Yeah, and that, which is again is a reference to the Black Freighter, the comic within a comic. Back in the old school stuff.
A lot of white elephant stuff, because I think Lady True is named after a legend named Lady True that rode a white elephant. And then, of course, you got, just in general, there's elephant themes going on. Those books had
Maybe we'll get her origin. Maybe we get her origin story next episode.
It must be short, though.
By the way, I totally think...
Fit a lot in
I don't know. I think they'll extend it. Also, I think that comet that fell onto the farmer ladies, the egg ladies' land, was totally Ozymandias or Adrian Veidt coming to Earth.
Oh, totally. That asteroid landing thing had to have been Daddy coming home.
I even saw somewhere online that gold, statue of him is actually him, just gilded.
I don't think that.
I don't think it either, but it would be really funny if it was.
Yeah,
if she's like press a button, he melted, and he's like, "Okay, here we go."
No, that's not him. But I do think I am very interested in how technological wise he got across 390 million miles of space across the solar system to get home. But at the same time and space has been played with us so hardcore that when was that asteroid thing landing? When did that actually happen? In 2019? Or
Yeah, it was 2019. It was just
right.
It was just maybe.
So when do you think he launched? And also when he had that finally
He launched in 2019.
The horseshoe that finally came into play.
Right.
He kept rejecting it. I don't need it now. I don't need it now. In past episodes, he got so excited he was cackling like the Joker, scraping at the floor in the prison cell.
Yeah, he's digging himself out.
Well, dig himself out, or maybe, just maybe, because he knew when he needed it for a specific reason, but he wasn't ready for it. Maybe there's like a capsule corp capsule thing in the freaking place.
Oh, there might be, yeah.
That he can like take off in and press sleep, and he's like Sigourney Weaver in Aliens and sleeps for a couple of years while he's coming home.
Yeah, I can see that too, for sure. That's probably what it is.
Because think about it. The cake, the last one, had 7 candles, so he was only there for 7 years. But we're talking about probably a 10-year period, maybe between his conversation in 2009 when he got, or was it 2009 that he got sent?
It was 2009 when he got sent.
So then 7 years after that, and then so like, oh, well, it's still not 2019. So maybe the rest of those years was his space travel.
Yeah, maybe. I could see that. It would take probably about that long if he was moving really quick. So
that's all I got to say, because for sure that's his company and his daughter's companies, if indeed Lady True is his daughter, which I strongly believe that's her.
Yeah, it's probably her.
Other people have other things. They think that she's the daughter of other characters. No,
she's probably Ozymandias.
It's either him or no one. But
right.
But that satellite that was launched up there, that was
totally hers.
It was hers.
Yeah.
And he even mentioned in his 2009 conversation with Dr. Manhattan that a little white elephant told me, because there was something that he knew that he said to Dr. Manhattan, I already know about that. He goes, how do you know? Little white elephant told me. Well, a little white elephant was a little elephant-shaped satellite, like head, that was looking down
at him, yeah.
Knowing that Europa was being built and all this stuff.
She even said, she's like, I want my parents to see the greatest thing ever built. Well, she has her mother and her daughter. And she
right.
And she said, and then Angela's like, well, where's your father? And she's like, well, he'll be here soon.
That has to be.
Yeah. So.
But where does Will Reeves come into play with the teamwork? Because he literally joined forces with Dr. Manhattan in 2009 when he got the information about Judd and everything else. But now he's obviously joined forces hardcore with Lady True. So, like, are there 2 bad guys and 1 good guy, or is everyone a bad guy? It just doesn't really matter. Or are we going to see the end of the cavalry and the saving of the world from maybe a psycho blast that Lady True's probably going to nostalgia everyone? So, like, that's another thing that might be a prediction. Is she going to drop a mind bomb on Tulsa or the Midwest or the whole, like, continent? So everyone experiences the trauma that her people did in Vietnam as, like, payback? Or is it totally just the utopia plan her father has? She's either going to carry out or blast off for the trip to Europa.
Who knows? We will all find out next week on episode 9. I don't know the title.
WATCHMEN.
Maybe it'll just be called The Watchmen.
WATCHMEN.
Maybe episode 9 will just be called Watchmen. That'd be interesting. HBO's Watchmen, episode 9, season 1, Watchmen. Anyway, guys, take it or leave it. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoy next week. We for sure will.
And enjoy the enjoyment on top of that.
Of course, always. And we will see you guys then. Take it easy. Let us know in the comments below what you guys thought. And be sure to like this video. Watch you later.